The Broken Lizard Troop are back with more of the same shenanigans in Super Troopers 3.
So we have Super Troopers 3 here. It's been 25 years since the original Super Troopers came out, which, to be fair, back then, obviously, comedy was a lot different. You know, the world was a much different place 25 years ago, obviously. And I'm not going to lie, Super Troopers, the original, is a classic comedy. It is very funny. I love Super Troopers 3, or love Super Troopers 1. But Super Troopers 2, that came out about 17 years later, about 8 years ago now, I felt was very, very weak. So I was surprised that they were coming back and making a third one of these, given how poorly I felt that the second one was, and it did, at the box office. And here we are with a third one. This one is centered around, Farvo marrying Thorny's sister here, and that's kind of the central crux of what they attempted to make as a story out of this. But I gotta say, man, we went into it. I try to go into these movies with just a hope and optimism that, you're going to deliver something that's going to, entertain me, make me laugh. But I found myself in this movie, there's a couple moments where I did laugh that are silly, but it was just so much of the movie that I kind of just sat there bored in a lot of ways, where it was just like, I'm watching a movie, but there's points where the comedy that they try just doesn't hit, and it's just a hot mess of a story. But I really feel like this one missed the mark for me.
Oh yeah, this movie was bad. Like, I don't hide my emotions very well, so I notice you look over a few times, and I'm just like,
stone.
All right, like I do not go into anything expecting to hate it or wanting to hate it or anything else. I was 17 when the first Super Troopers came out. I was a fan of it. I went back and rewatched it and the second one this week, and I still enjoyed the first one because it had just that silly fun over the top, and it felt unique and fresh for it. Yeah, and Super Troopers 2, I barely remembered it, so I needed to go back because I remember not liking it. And now I remember why I didn't like it, because it just felt very, very stereotypical. Like, okay, they're going to Canada, so let's just make every possible Canadian joke we can. Sure. Have everybody be over the top with their Canadian accent, and just didn't really feel like they tried. Now they crowdsourced a lot of the money that they needed to do the second one. So yeah, I was very surprised that they ended up getting a third one, because none of these have been that profitable. But when they take 10, 15 million to make and they make 30 million, you can call that profitable, but it's just not making a whole lot. But yeah, it feels like it's time for this to end or to go to someone else, but I feel like it's time for it to end. Like, these guys, they're funny guys, but what they've done is very hit or miss. Like, they've been very hit or miss on a lot of their stuff that they've done. And Super Troopers is kind of the crowning achievement of what they did. But it just feels like, in two different ways, they still tried too much to do callbacks to something that was 25 years ago. They did all the callbacks in the second one. They're doing the same callbacks in the third one. So none of it really landed. And then all the new stuff that they tried to do, trying to make fun of delivery drivers and AI and electric cars and all that, it felt like bad dad jokes that they just didn't really put a lot of effort behind. It didn't feel like they tried that hard with this film. Like, I did have a few moments that did make me laugh, and it was when you could tell that they were having a lot of fun, and so you were having a lot of fun with them. Sure. But there was barely any of those moments in the film.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton, and it's a very messy movie. Like, you have like a lot of bad acting in this. Obviously, you're not expecting like incredible acting coming out of this film, but I mean, you have Chase Crawford, who a lot of people know from The Boys, and he's in here as one of the antagonists of the movie, and his acting is not good at all in this at all.
Very flat.
Very flat, not funny at all. And it's centered around Thorny being, unapproving of his sister marrying Farva for obvious reasons.
And that they're getting married in under 2 months of meeting each other, where she ran off the road and he rescued her, and she instantly fell in love, and they're getting married in under 2 months.
It's a messy, silly story. But I mean, you have the dynamics amongst the crew. You have a new cop here that, half the crew loves, half the crew doesn't like. It's some kind of semi-fun dynamics amongst the guys there, but it tries too hard in a lot of ways it's trying too hard to be funny without being naturally funny, which is what I think they excelled at, 25 years ago with the original. Like, it felt more naturally funny, and this film felt, unfortunately, a lot more forced. Mm-hmm. The comedy just felt forced. Some of the jokes they were making just didn't hit well. There's random, like, Star Wars references in this for some reason.
That Star Wars thing made absolutely no sense.
None at all whatsoever.
And then the odd voice that came along with it.
Yeah, it was just very weird, very goofy, very silly. And I remember specifically there were just a couple parts in the movie where you and I both, I could feel it from you simultaneously. Where we were both
face
just
palming,
putting our head in our hands, and we're just like, "What are we watching right now? Yeah. Like this is just not fun." And you can tell that the jokes weren't landing because in the theater that we were in, even a lot of people in our age demographic
it was mostly our age demographic.
Like who were trying to watch this movie and enjoy it. Not a lot of laughter out of the theater either. And I think a lot of people walked out of it with the same experience. I can always tell when we're going to have a negative review of a movie when the second the credit hits, you and I both stand up simultaneously.
There are some like a post-credit scene, and then apparently there's some bloopers during the credits, but I had such a lousy time with it that I didn't care, and I was ready to go.
Yeah, I didn't care about it either, but you could just always tell when it's one of those types of movies where as soon as those credits hit, because a lot of times we'll just kind of sit and linger and like let it sit for a second or something and not necessarily just get up and leave right away. Unless, of course, we're like, not to be graphic, but like you have to go to the bathroom or something, and we're just ready to get out to go do that. But you and I both booked it. I could not have been more ready to leave the theater at that point. It just, I want these movies to be funny, and in some cases it is. Like in some points, this movie it is funny. Like it does have some funny moments, but overall, it's just a hot mess. Yeah. I just. Really disappointed with this falls into that for me category of stereotypical third comedy movies that are just like do you really need to do the third one kind of thing. It's like very Hangover 3-esque in that way. It's just like, all right, like these guys are all coming back to try to, I don't even know if you want to call it a cash grab. Like it just seems like they just wanted to make the movie, and it seems like they had fun with it, which good on them for getting even a third one off the ground when it took, like you said, a major crowdfunding effort to get the second one made, in 2018. But like
they raised like $5 million or something through.
It was incredible. Like it was awesome that they got that put together, and it was still just not the best movie, but the fact that they got a third one made is just incredible. But yeah, just really, really let down and disappointed by this one.
Yeah, this is kind of a series that I wish would have stopped at one. Like
it was a perfect.
You had so much fun. And you wish they would have done more back then, but like I said, it took 17 years between the first and the second one, which is your demographic is now in their 30s that you initially made the movie for. Because like I said, I was 17 when it came out. Yeah. I was right in that demographic along with the demographic of being the stoner cop movies and everything else. But yeah, by the time the second one came out, I doubled my age. So I was in my 30s when that came out. Now I'm in my 40s to watch the third one.
That's crazy.
And it seems like it's really only made for the diehards, but I feel like it let the diehards down because, again, it just tried to rehash way too many jokes from the first film that they did in the second film as well. So, like, they just beat you over the head. Like, they're 25-year-old jokes. They were funny then. Sure. But it also felt the effort from them was a little lacking. And some of the scenes, especially when they're all just standing around talking to each other, almost felt like a rehearsal that they recorded. And like, let's just go with it because the energy was low. It's just like, oh yeah, let's do this. And oh yeah, let's do that. Oh, we're not going to call you captain. Ha ha ha. Let's just keep beating you over and that's another thing. This film tries to beat you over the head with jokes like, this is funny. You're going to laugh at it. Because a secondary story behind this is that there are maple syrup trucks that are being attacked and defaced and stuff, but they really, 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 really want you to know that it's not real maple syrup. It's corn syrup. Right. And they really wanted you to know that. So they just beat you over the head. And they weren't even really jokes. It's like, that tastes like syrup. Corn syrup. And it feels like they pause and to wait for a laugh when it's a film. And it's like, it's not funny.
Yeah.
And they do that with so many jokes. Like said, there was a weird Star Wars joke. You feel like Trace Crawford's character, they were like the Dukes of Hazzard boys and everything. And it just felt like they mashed so much stuff because they're still doing some of the Canadian stuff. So again, on top of Favreau's wedding, on top of the corn syrup, maple syrup, then you have a new Canadian drug called Canadian Crystal that's being created and distributed out and stuff. So it's kind of rehashing again what they did in the second one, because that was all about Canadian drugs and weaponry and stuff going across the borders, because they're still trying to play off that joke. Oh, you remember how, now this area that the Super Troopers are covering is just a bump up in Canada, and it tried to beat you over the head with the jokes to make you laugh if you weren't laughing, and it just failed in almost every aspect, because it tried too hard, but then it didn't try hard enough. So it's like they were trying way too hard to make things that aren't funny.
Yeah.
But then the effort on them, they just look like they're standing around like, yeah, this is an EV car. Yeah, you got to crawl through the window. Like it just, the effort behind it just felt really lacking.
It didn't feel like it had the same like snap to the jokes that the original had. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my gripe to it. It's like, with comedy, it's about timing, it's about delivery, it's about and like there's moments where it works, but there's just so much of it where it doesn't here that it's a major letdown, because like you said, and sometimes they were trying to be offensive in some things, and it was just kind of like cheap, low-hanging fruit in some cases, where it just
very basic stereotypical
like we're going to be a little bit of like we'll be a little bit offensive, but not like in a way that can work and be very funny. And like, I appreciate like dark humor, and, offensive jokes don't bother me that much if they're done, done well and done, I don't know. They just weren't in this. And a lot of it felt, like you said, just real lazy in the writing, which is unfortunate, because these guys are talented guys, but, it's just now like, they're not getting any younger. So
I mean, they're pushing 60 still doing the same comedy they did 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's like update it a little bit, just a little bit, evolve it a little bit. And I think they tried in some cases, but I don't think they knew how to deliver that in the same way with a modern story. Like it felt like real lazy, low-hanging fruit jokes, which doesn't work for me necessarily. Like other people might get some enjoyment out of it.
It's all about the delivery, and the delivery was just lacking.
It's all in how you deliver it, and it just missed the mark so many times that it was just like I spent 80 to 90% of the movie just sitting there, just like, all right, like let's get to something, make me laugh, like entertain me in some ways, and it just wasn't as entertaining as I was hoping it would be, and that's the real disappointing part of it.
Yeah, so they introduced that the station gets an electric car, and so they got to poke fun that it's a Canadian electric car, so the voice in it is all Canadian, and when it starts up, it plays a Canadian national anthem and stuff, and it's just that really low-hanging fruit kind of jokes that they're doing the expected jokes. They're doing, all right, so a lot of it's around Indian and Indian culture, so let's just make whatever stereotypical, slightly racist jokes that we can about Indians. And they've done that all throughout, because the running joke throughout the first two films were always that Thorny was Mexican and not Indian. Right. And that was playful. They didn't really do that here, but they more went into the deeper parts of, oh, he's Indian, so Indians, well, they do snakes, so let's do a snake bit, and let's do this, and let's... Yeah. It just felt lazy. It just felt like their hearts weren't in what they were writing or doing here, and you could see that in their performance. Again, like I said, they're pushing 60. Most of the guys are 56, 58 years old now. Some of them are really starting to show it.
Sure.
Not trashing them at all like that.
Yeah, nothing wrong.
But it's a point that they're still doing the same thing that they were doing 25 years ago, and there comes a point with any person, comedian, actor, anything, you can't keep doing the same stuff you did 25 years ago.
You have to evolve.
And it kind of showed that. And like you said, when they tried to evolve, it just fell so flat. Like I said, they were making fun of theirs delivery. Oh, you can order your coffee? Oh, yeah, what did you order? Well, black, cream. And that was a joke.
Yeah.
And then, like, not tipping delivery drivers and ordering condoms via a delivery driver because that's funny to have a delivery driver deliver. It's just like, it just felt like every just bottom tier joke that they had left in their joke book that they had written was put in here. I love the guys. Like, I've enjoyed several of them. Like, Beer Fest was enjoyable. It had its issues, and you had, they have their firefighter show that's going on that has its good times and its good bad times and stuff too. It's just this. After the second one, I had low reservations about anything, and I had no idea they were doing a third one. And then when I saw the trailer for the third one, I'm just like, I just don't know what to feel about it. And unfortunately, my feelings were right, because it was, and that ending was just so incredibly over the top, crazy, and not a good way. Like, there was some fun to it.
It's very cringy, yeah.
But then you get to the end where I'm marrying you, and I'm going to marry you, I'm going to marry this, I'm going to marry that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do all this, I'm going to do that and that. And it's like, wait, what? Like,
They took the everything's funnier in threes bit a little too far with this one. That just didn't work for the subject they were trying to do. It was just like, all right, let's just get to the end of this. You could tell it was getting at the end where we were both just kind of like shuffling in our seats and ready to just get out of the theater here. But man, what a giant letdown for this one. Unfortunately, like, we've been pretty spoiled for the last couple weeks with some really amazing, incredible films, and this one was just like, there it is.
Back to reality.
There's the bad cinema that we've come to see from, especially like these types of comedy films that are trying to rehash old success and do it in a modern film, and it just doesn't work. Like, obviously we had Scary Movie 6 earlier this year that just we had higher hopes for that one because we were fans of the previous ones too.
And I at least laughed at that trailer.
Yeah,
I didn't laugh
the trailer
at this
was
trailer.
hilarious, but this one just didn't feel like we were just like, oh, I kind of have an idea of what this is going to be, but I'm going to give it a chance. And when we got in there, it was just like, I could tell within the first 5 minutes of the movie, I was just like, this is not going to go well, I think. And unfortunately, it winds up just being a major letdown for us. And hopefully this is the last Super Troopers movie that gets made, but I'm still willing to give those guys chances to do other things if they can. I've never really watched their TV show because I felt it was kind of lazy that they went from cops to firefighters. Oh, geez, there's a stretch, but hopefully they can come up with a different pivot to something else that can be entertaining and funny, because I think there's still potential for them to do it. But this has got to. Please let this be the last Super Troopers movie that's made.
Yeah, so Super Troopers 3 is a comedy that's lacking laughs and jokes. Like, it feels like they were just kind of going through the motions, that you could tell the jokes just felt really lazy. They tried to beat you over the head with so many of the jokes by repeating them over and over and over again, hoping that they would be funny the fifth or sixth time that you heard it. If it wasn't funny the first time, rehashing jokes that they used 25 years ago in the first one, which is vastly superior to any of the sequels that they've done here. It was just a big disappointment. I had very little laughs, very little entertainment, jumbled, messy story. But you don't exactly go into this for the story, but at least the first one felt cohesive and that the jokes fit with what they were doing. And this was just throwing a billion different bits into a single film and hoping that something worked, and really nothing worked. I'm giving this a 2. Like, I did not have a good time with this at all. And it's sad because I did enjoy the original, but these sequels were just really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving it a 2.5 myself. That's about where I landed with it. There are some entertaining moments that'll bring it up a little bit from just being a 1 or a 2 for me. Like, it's got some funny moments in it, and I think that'll save it just a little bit. But man, what a hot mess this movie was. It lacks a lot of the snap that made that first movie so magical, and it just really missed the mark for me, and that's disappointing because I wanted to at least give this a chance to maybe they can evolve the comedy just a little bit here, because they're talented writers, they're talented people, but this one just wasn't it. Bad acting, dialogue was just meh. It it didn't do anything to keep me super entertained through the entire film, and it's just very unfortunate. I really wanted to like this movie better than I did, but it missed in so many ways for me.
Yeah, it was just so disappointing that just the lack of effort on the jokes. Like, you could just tell on their face and their body language that they were just kind of going through the motions with it, and you could tell the writing was the same way. Like, they just like, all right, let's just do this, and we'll make 10 more jokes about it throughout the entire. It's an hour and 44-minute movie, but it feels like we were just getting beat over the head with the same flat jokes, and even had a weird one, which it was somewhat funny, but it was just so over the top where you get, and slight spoiler, but there's a part where Farva admits that he has an allergy to shellfish, but he's going to eat it anyways because he's Farva. And then it turns into, like, were they trying to do an MCU movie when it comes to a shellfish allergy? And it was just, I laughed at parts of it, but it was just so like, what are we doing here?
Right.
With you're turning Farva into the Hulk because he's allergic to something? Like, it was just
not how allergies work.
I laughed a couple times at it, but at the same time, I was cringing and putting my head in my hand, like, what are we doing here? Like, it just, you can grow out of comedies and grow out a certain amount of comedies, and this being a stoner, just gross out type of comedic thing. But it wasn't that. It was just how poorly they executed almost every level of this.
Yeah, the film just doesn't work for me. It's really disappointing. Like I said, hopefully they can pivot to do something else now, leave Super Troopers there. God forbid they come out with a fourth one. I'm not gonna lie, if they make a fourth one, I'm probably not gonna go see it in theaters at all. But Super Troopers 3 is out in theaters now. If you want to give it a chance and go check it out, go check it out. Don't let us, dissuade you from seeing it. If you
might have a good time.
You might have a good time with it. And if you do, come back and let us know what you really think of the film. But I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be on the sides of us for this one. But come to our social media pages. Let us know what you think. We'd love to have a conversation about this film with you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in. And if you feel so inclined, do all the things to help the show out, from follows, shares, likes, and comments on social media to subscribing on YouTube and your favorite audio platforms. All of it helps us out so much, and we can't thank you enough for all the support.
You can also become a subscriber over on Patreon to get each episode delivered to you early, exclusive merch items, and your name read out at the end of every episode. Check it out at patreon.com/we'll bring the popcorn.
That's going to do it for this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.